Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thrilling edition of Howard's Opinion. I'm your host, Howard, and we're delighted to have you join us today as we dive into the world of sports. As we always say, the opinions expressed on this show are not only insightful, but also thought-provoking. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Speaking of thought-provoking, our first story today is about a young baseball phenom who's making waves in the sport. Nolan Gorman, a talented player for the Cheyenne Hawks, has been impressing fans and coaches alike with his exceptional skills on the field. According to a recent article, Gorman has been playing up to his competition and showing tremendous growth as a player. Now, I know what you're thinking. What makes this kid so special? Well, let me tell you, folks. Gorman's leadership on the field is evident, and his vocal presence is something that sets him apart from other players. Whether he's in the infield or on the mound, his communication helps anchor the team. As he himself said, "I feel like wherever I'm at, I can make an impact and be a leader." But what really caught my attention was Gorman's impressive stats. The young player paced the Eagles in hitting last year with a 345 average and 30 RBI die. And this summer, he's batting 291 with a team-best 11 RBI. Not bad for a kid who's still developing his skills. Now, I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon too quickly, but it's clear that Gorman has a bright future ahead of him. As his coach, Baza, said, his ceiling is really high. And with his aggressive approach and consistent contact, it's no wonder he's being touted as one of Cheyenne's most promising young players. But enough about individual accolades. Let's talk about the team. The Cheyenne Hawks may have lost their opener at the Battle of Omaha tournament, but they're looking to bounce back with a strong performance against Grenta Post 216 and Chippewa Falls Post 77. With players like Gorman leading the charge, I'm excited to see how they'll fare in the rest of the tournament. And that's all for now, folks. We've got more fascinating sports news coming your way, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with more intriguing stories and analysis on Howard's Opinion. Welcome back to Howard's Opinion. We're diving into the world of sports now, and what a story we have for you. The U.S. Open is underway at Oakmont Country Club, and it's been a wild ride so far. Sam Burns is currently leading the pack with a score of 3 under, closely followed by J.J. Spawn at 2 under. But the real shocker here is the early exit of Bryson DeChambeau, who failed to make the cut after a disappointing performance. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, what happened to DeChambeau? Well, it seems like he just couldn't get his game together. He finished a 10 over, which is a far cry from his usual standards. And he's not alone. Other big names like Dustin Johnson, Lucas Glover, and Phil Mickelson also missed the cut. It just goes to show that even the best golfers can have an off day. On the other hand, we have Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler, who are both struggling to find their footing. McIlroy revealed earlier that he shot an 81 in a practice round at Oakmont, which is 11 over in tournament conditions. And while he did manage to make the cut, he's still got a long way to go if he wants to catch up with the leaders. The third round is set to begin soon, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Will Sam Burns hold on to his lead, or will someone else come from behind to take the top spot? We'll be keeping a close eye on the action, that's for sure. And speaking of action, we've got one more story lined up for you today. It's a doozy, folks, so stay tuned. We're going to switch gears and talk about something entirely different. But before we get to that, let me just say that the U.S. Open is shaping up to be an exciting tournament, and we can't wait to see what happens next. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Howard's Opinion. Welcome back to Howard's Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. As we close out today's show, I'd like to discuss a fascinating story that has been making waves in the world of sport. It appears that Tyreek Hill, the talented wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, has been engaging in a bit of a rivalry with track star Noah Lyles. Now, I must say that I find this development quite intriguing, as it highlights the intersection of different athletic disciplines and the quest for excellence that drives these remarkable individuals. As you may know, Tyreek Hill recently participated in a 100-meter dash at the Last Chance Sprint Series, where he recorded a personal best time of 10.15 seconds. This is an impressive achievement, to say the least, especially considering that Hill is 31 years old and hasn't competed in track events since 2014. However, it's essential to put this performance into perspective, as our friend Jack Baer from Yahoo Sports so astutely pointed out. While Hill's time is certainly noteworthy, it's crucial to recognize that Noah Lyles, the elite track runner with whom Hill has been engaging in a feud, operates on an entirely different level. Lyles has consistently demonstrated his exceptional speed, with times that far surpass Hill's recent effort. In fact, Lyles ran a 10:40 seconds in 2015, when he was just 18 years old, and has since gone on to win numerous championships, including the Olympics and the World Championships. Now, I'm not here to disparage Tyreek Hill or his impressive athletic abilities. On the contrary, it's remarkable that he can still perform at such a high level, even in a discipline that's not his primary focus. However, it's essential to acknowledge the vast difference between Hill's achievements and those of Noah Lyles. As Baer so aptly put it, a difference of a quarter of a second doesn't sound like much, but it can separate a first and last place finish in an elite track event. In my humble opinion, this story serves as a reminder that there are different tiers of athletic excellence, and while Tyreek Hill is undoubtedly one of the fastest men in the NFL, he still has to make up significant ground to catch up with the likes of Noah Lyles. Of course, this doesn't mean that Hill can't improve, or that he won't be able to give Lyles a run for his money in a future race. But as it stands now, Lyles is the one who sets the standard, and Hill will need to dig deep to bridge the gap. As we conclude today's show, I'd like to leave you with some food for thought. The world of sports is full of fascinating stories and intriguing rivalries, and this one between Tyreek Hill and Noah Lyles is certainly worth keeping an eye on. Will Hill be able to close the gap and challenge Lyles' dominance? Only time will tell. That's all for today's Howard's Opinion. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, these are some of my humble thoughts. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of sports and society, where the drama, the excitement, and the human interest stories never cease to captivate us. Until we meet again, stay opinionated and keep on thinking. That's all for today's Howard's Opinion. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, keep your head in the game.